iForgeAhead includes a valuable suite of business reports that provide important information on the financial aspects of your business. You can use these reports to help prepare your tax returns, and you should also review them periodically to analyze various aspects of your business. For example, if you would like to validate whether or not you're charging enough for a particular product or service, or perhaps you're wondering what the impact will be if you drop a particular client from your practice, these reports can provide helpful information as you make those decisions and will be a great assistance in helping you run your business more profitably. The business reports are available from the full screen side of iForgeAhead. From anywhere in the system, use the menu bar at the top and click Reports. From the Reports navigation screen, you'll go beneath the Financial Reports section and click Business Reports. This will take you to the primary dialog box, where running a report is as simple as selecting which report you'd like from this list and selecting the appropriate date range to cover the report. The date range options include a list of common time frames that you can use for your report. Below the list is an explanation with the exact dates that will be included based on your selection. So as you select different options within the list, you can check the dates here to see which transactions will be included. The last two options in the list provide you additional flexibility. If you select Include All Dates, then the date parameter will be ignored. Please keep in mind that if you have many years worth of data in iForgeAhead and you select this option, the report might take a little while to generate. Finally, if none of the standard time frames are going to meet your needs for a particular report, you can click Custom Date Range. This will provide you with date editors where you can specify the exact dates to be included in your report. You can do this with the drop-down arrow and simply clicking on the date to fill in the box, or you can type a date in the box as well. Now, let's go ahead and run a couple of reports and give you a sense for how they work. I'll begin with the first option here that's already selected, which is Expenses by Category. This will look at our purchases and subtotal them by our categories. I'm going to select the time frame of last year, and for this first option I'm going to exclude the details, and I'll explain that more as we look at the report. This means that you're going to see only subtotals in the report and not individual detail records. We'll click Create Report, which will take us to a preview of the report. Now, the Expenses by Category report is what we've selected, and in the upper right you'll always have your date range reflected here in this box. We selected it to be grouped by categories, and each category is appearing here in a gray bar as we move down the report. That gray bar will show you the total amount of expenses for that category. Beneath the category, it further breaks that amount down into the purchases with particular suppliers. In this case, we have all of our purchases for this category with this particular supplier. If we move down the report a little farther, we'll get to the category of supplies, and we'll see that we have two suppliers here. For the first supplier, we had this total amount of expenses in the supplies category. And for the second supplier, we had this subtotal of supplies. These amounts are then subtotaled up above in the main category of supplies. At the bottom of the report, you'll always find a grand total, which reflects the total of all the gray bars or the main categories of the report. Now when you're in the preview screen, the action panel on the left gives you the first option, says Change Options. And if we click that, we'll be returned to the dialog box with our previously selected options already in effect. Let's run the same report again, and this time we're going to uncheck this box so that you can see the difference. This will give us the exact same data, but it will give us more detailed information. So we still have our gray bars with the individual categories, and within each category we have a subtotal by supplier, and then we start to see the new detail information. This is individual transactions with the totals for that supplier within that category. So that's the difference of when you include or exclude the details option. Now we'll return to the dialog box, and this time I'm going to look at expenses in a different way. I'll look at expenses by supplier. I'm going to go ahead and hide the detail rows, and I'm going to run the report for the same time frame. This will give us the exact same total amounts because we've selected the same time frame, but the grouping is different. Now in the gray bars we have individual suppliers as our primary grouping or subtotaling, and within each supplier we then have additional subtotals by category. Let's return to the dialog box again, and we'll look at one other type of report. I'll jump down here and select the gross income summary report. I'm going to leave the time frame the same and click Create Report. And now instead of looking at expenses for our business, we're looking at income. This is actual money that has been received, entered into your payments module of iForgeAhead. It's automatically subtotaled by month, and within each month it will subtotal by payment type. Again, at the bottom you have a grand total for this time frame. I want to scroll down to the very bottom of the report and point out that on most of the financial reports there's an explanation at the bottom of each page that just gives you an overview of where the data for this report is coming from. It's explaining that this report is coming from the payments transactions, and it includes all payments for the time period except for credit memo payments. So if you're ever wondering exactly where the report is getting the data, you can check the explanation at the bottom of the report. Let's return to the dialog box one more time, and I'm just going to give you a brief description of the other reports that we haven't looked at. Below the two expenses report, you'll have two reports that are titled Sales. The first one groups your sales by products and services, and the second one groups and subtotals them by client. I want to point out here that sales is different than income. We were just looking at the gross income report, which shows payments that you've received. Sales, by contrast, is coming from the invoices section of iForgeAhead, not the payments, and it uses any finalized invoices within the specified date range. There's also a sales tax summary report. If you need to collect sales tax from your customers, this report will be very helpful as you remit the sales tax you've collected back to the government. It will give you subtotals by the different tax rates and the different geographical areas you might be collecting sales tax in. The next report is called Profit and Loss, and that's a very nice quick snapshot of your business for a specified time period. It will simply give you a total amount of sales for that time period and compare it to the total expenses for that time period and show you the difference, which would be your net profit. The next two reports are utility reports for specific details you may be looking for. Invoice adjustments will give you a summary of line items from invoices where you've adjusted your standard billing amount either up or down. And this report is subtotaled by client, so you can see how you're using those adjustments across individual clients. The credit memos issued gives you a list of credit memos that you've issued during that time frame, and it is also subtotaled by client. And finally, the mileage report will list your mileage records for the specified time period and will subtotal them by month. That concludes this tutorial on business reports in iForgeAhead. Thank you.